When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I'm Andy Signor, and I'm here with Steph the Alter Nerd, and it's Kim. The trio is here. All we need is Louis Lecca. He may join us in a minute, but I'm so happy to have you both in the meanwhile. I wish it was a more upbeat topic to start today's show, but we have kind of a tough one to get through. Yesterday, we sort of alluded to updates, and I wanted to do a proper update today as we're getting more information about Tyre Nichols and what the hell happened. Why did this happen? This was just a travesty. I'm just still heartbroken. I did watch some of the video. It's really hard to watch it all. I was able to read the rest, and I saw enough to just know that this isn't right. And what's really bothering me as we get straight to it today, why did it take 27 minutes for Tyre to be transported to the hospital? Why did he receive no help from any of the first responders as he laid there in distress? He was shown no humanity, and those responsible should be held accountable. That is what we're going to discuss today, as well as more information, including one of the officers, the sixth officer, the white officer, was just given a suspension. He was given like desk duty, guys. This was the guy who pulled him over and then did like the taser and missed, and then proceeded to allegedly scream, "Stomp him," after he got away. So we're going to break all that down, frustration. How did this happen? Before we do, I do want to introduce my two amazing guests. Steph, the Alter Nerd's back. Welcome back, Steph. How are you doing? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
Sorry, I was burping like before the stream, so I thought I'd mute myself in the end. Guys, but yeah, it feels really, really strange not sat next to you right now, mate, I have to admit. Apart from that, though, I'm okay. I'm recovered from yesterday, so yeah. Me gob's on. Let's go.
Let's do it. It's Kim. How are you doing?
I'm okay. This is such a hard topic, but I'm glad we're talking about it, and I hope we can shed some light on truth, and we can move forward.
Yeah, now Kim has prepared a document today also, as we were getting, which we're going to go through as well, just sort of trying to fact check some of the stuff that's out there, because there has been a lot of rumors of, he was with one of the officers' wives. None of this is confirmed, guys. We have no proof of any of that. There are a lot of people on Twitter and whatnot trying to say these things, but until we get more concrete evidence of this, I don't want to offer that kind of slander on here. I just think it's dangerous. But there's a lot of theories floating around as to why. And I understand to an extent why people would be so, wanting to figure that out, because it just seems so unjustified, like so random and so aggressive. It's like, it does feel like there had to be something else behind this to warrant such attack. Cause I don't know about you guys stand, but it's like, I can't understand the lack of humanity that these officers gave. Like, some sort of affair or anger or something might have at least like given us a little bit of a window as to why they were so riled up. It wouldn't excuse it by any stretch of the imagination, but it still is just so random, the amount of violence that these officers shown on what was a routine traffic stop, that I'm still trying to figure out, did he even do anything wrong? That's what's been so frustrating about this case, but we're going to break it down. Let's start with, before we get to the officer, let's just do this recap. CNN does a pretty good recap with Tyre's family's lawyer, Ben Crump, who is they're going to speak about both topics. And I thought, let's just watch this together.
Crump, the attorney for the family of Tyre Nichols, and Ben.
Now, you guys may not be able to watch this. I'm realizing with the Zoom issue. Does it work now, Steph? If it doesn't, I've put it in boss level so you guys can mute and watch it along with me. Okay.
It seems to work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
And I appreciate your time tonight. First, this news we're just learning. The Memphis Fire Department firing 3 employees after they released a timeline showing that Nichols was not transported to the hospital until 27 minutes after the first paramedics arrived. The video shows, what we all had to watch and excruciatingly wait, right? They stand around waiting for the ambulance to arrive for much of that time. Do you know, Ben, anything about why this took 27 minutes, why they were standing around?
No, that's the questions that were raised initially when we saw the video, because it was just heart-wrenching when you see Tyre in handcuffs against the car. He falls to one side of the car, and a minute later they tell him to get up. He doesn't get up. They sit him back up. Then he falls to the opposite side, and it repeats it like 2 or 3 times, and then he's just on the ground, Aaron, obviously in distress, and nobody is offering him any rendering any aid, and not anybody is offering him any ounce of humanity.
Do you think that those EMTs should be charged?
Well, we want to continue to talk with the experts that we've retained, but clearly every one of them, every last one of them who had anything to do with the lynching of this young, innocent man by the police and the powers that be in the city of Memphis should be held accountable.
Ben, we're also learning tonight that a total of 7 officers were relieved of duty the day after Nichols' arrest. And we know 5 of them were charged, right? Those are the ones we've been talking about for days. Today, we found out the name of a 6th officer who was relieved of duty, not yet charged, though. We're looking at him. His name is Preston Hemphill. He was part of the initial traffic stop, and his body camera is the one which captured part of the confrontation, which I warn everyone is disturbing, but I want to show everybody something very important.
I'm going to cut away from this just so we're clear, because I want to be careful. We're not going to play the clips just because it's too graphic. You guys can look the stuff up on yourself. But the beginning of this, he has it's armed. She'll explain more, but I may be cutting in and back. That's just to understand. But that's who we're showing.
Preston Hemphill's gun is immediately drawn when he pulls up. You see.
And then he puts it away as they go in the car.
That before Tyre Nichols is pulled out of the car, he's got his gun drawn.
Now at this point, this is when Tyre gets away.
Then
and the taser, he's holding the taser.
Puts his gun away, and instead he pulls his taser, which he eventually fires.
Which is crazy because he misses. But just so you guys see what I'm talking about. Sorry.
You see that before Tyre Nichols is pulled out of the car, he's got his gun drawn.
Then he switches it up, and I'm just afraid this is the taser. This yellow thing he's holding is a taser, which he tries to employ, and it doesn't get him.
Gun away, and instead he pulls his taser, which he eventually fires, obviously fails to stun Mr. Nichols. But then after Nichols gets away, you hear him say, quote, "I hope they stomp his ass." Should he be charged? Are you surprised he hasn't been yet?
We're very surprised he hasn't been charged yet. And in fact, Tyre Nichols' father, Mr. Rodney Wells, asked that very question the first time we saw the video, before America saw the video. He said, why hasn't the white police officer been terminated? And that's the question we're still asking today, because we understand him being relieved for duty is not him being terminated. And
Correct.
So we think anybody involved in this excessive, brutal use of force that killed Tyre Nichols should be held accountable, Aaron Burnett. And the fact, what he said, that tells you that this was part of a culture of this Scorpion unit.
Yes.
I hope that they stomp him when they catch him. That is their mentality.
Let me ask you, Ben, you talk here about excessive and brutal use of force, but a moment ago you used the word lynching, and I know you didn't obviously do it in passing or lightly. What makes you feel that that's the right word to use?
Because, Aaron, when you think about how they hunted him down, kidnapping, aggravated kidnapping is part of the charges. And what is a lynching? When the lynch mob chase the victim down and capture him and they torture him. How can you say that this wasn't torture, what they had Tyre Nichols endure? So I intentionally say that it was a police lynching, and we have to call out the severity at which police officers engage with unarmed black citizens as nothing more than exactly what it is. It's a lynching. If it was regular citizens, like in Ahmaud Arbery, we would call it a lynching, and nobody would say any different. If police do it, that doesn't make it any different either.
Now, it should be added here. We have another, just to show it here. It's 70, they did the math. The officers had 71 commands in 13 minutes, which was like impossible for Tyre to even comply to if he wanted to try to. They were both over talking each other simultaneously, contradictorily, just screaming at this guy to try to do things that he couldn't even do. Put your hands down, get on the floor. It's like madness how aggressive and just nonsensical these officers were, and their anger towards this man. And there's other reports now coming in, again, saying that this is two other people apparently said one of the cops that pulled him over did a similar thing where he pulled his, GUN on them and said, "I'll blow your face off." A lot of stuff coming in about just on the aggressiveness of the Scorpion unit, which now has been disbanded. Now, this officer in specific, there's 7 officers now that have been relieved of duty. Relieved of duty is just an interesting way they're putting it, given all that we have. But this 6th officer is one that a lot of people are talking about now. As this article sort of did, he was put back to he was regaled to desk duty at a certain point right after it all happened. He's now been relieved, I'm told, but still no charges, only on the 5 that, as they said, we've been talking a lot about. Officer Preston Hemphill, that's the officer that we just showed, and the other officer's actions have been and continue to be the subject of the investigation. So we'll see if that investigation prompts. Hemphill was the 3rd officer at the traffic stop that preceded the arrest, but was not the one on the scene when Nicholas was, the other officers finished him. His lawyer said. So new information comes. So that's the question. This guy was there encouraging it, stopped it, tried to taser him, said, "Go stomp his ass." Should he also be charged? I mean, I guess I don't know what the charges could be, but it does feel like he was an accomplice in this action. I'll go to you first, Kim. What do you think? Should he be held accountable as well?
Yes. I think they all should be held accountable. There's so much wrong with this situation. And I do just want to say very quickly, because I see conversation, I see all those types of things while we're doing these lives. The police have confirmed, looking at traffic cams and things of that nature, that there was no reason for Tyre to be pulled over. He didn't do anything wrong, and no one deserves this. This is not, and the thing is, I don't really feel like that's even up for debate at this point. The other thing I wanted to say is there is a lot of information coming out about this right now. It's a very fluid situation. I had an article sent to me 10 minutes ago from Jules that came out 20 minutes ago with more relevant information. This keeps coming. Some of the people that have been disciplined have been put on suspension. They haven't been fired. There's a difference. And the way that things are being worded, the descriptions that are being used, some of it is not proper, some of it is not accurate, and we're doing our best to weed through all of that. So if you believe you have correct information, let me know in the chat. I will take a look for it, but we are not trying to give false information. We're trying to sort through this mess because there's a lot here.
There is a lot. Steph, what do you think about the everything in particular, but this officer now, all these officers who have been relieved but not yet fired or even charged?
Every single one of them should be fired. Every single one of them that could have done something to have saved Tyre's life should be fired. Not only the officers, but the emergency workers that came to the scene and did nothing. They should be fired as well. Every single one of them. And also every single one of them should be brought up on charges of at the very least, gross negligence and failure to conduct their duty, whatever the equivalent is in America for something like that. Because it's absolutely ridiculous that this even happened. It's insane. It's infuriating. It's confusing. And it just, as I said last week when we first spoke about it, it makes me, I think we should, never mind about what color of your skin you are, your race or anything like that, okay? I think everyone at the moment should be extremely cautious and terrified when it comes to the cops pulling you over, because it could be a Black American cop, it could be a white cop, it could be anyone, any cop that could come up and do that. That's scary as hell. Now, I do have a contact that works in the area. I'm not going to name names, but they are adamant that Tyre wasn't driving recklessly and he didn't do anything to warrant any of it. This is a direct quote. One of the EMS apparently argued with and fought the cops who were telling them just to let him go, as in just to let him be unalive, let him drift. Like, if this is true, it's disgusting. And my source says that's from a very trusted source. And it's just, you know, this person also mentions 5 cops with God complexes, and sadly, it's not new. This Scorpion unit, for those that don't know that are foreign like me, apparently is an elite unit. And my source also knows the attorney for 2 of the officers. And apparently, this attorney, if you're guilty, that's who you go to get off. And do you know what? It shouldn't just stop with those 5 officers. Every single one of them, including the emergency workers, that had a hand and could have actually saved Tyre's life, they should all be brought up on charges. All be sacked, all be brought up on charges, and there needs to be a major overhaul in terms of training and the setup of the police force in America. It's getting absolutely scary. Terrifyingly scary. There you go. My rant. Have fun with that.
You're muted, Andy.
Super scary. And there's just a lot coming in as the 7th officer now has been relieved. Again, unclear what that means. What will they face charges, etc. It's just a lot of frustration coming in as to, well, what's happening. Obviously, there's still time. What was impressive about this case, I will say, is that those 5 officers were charged pretty immediately. They I have to give them props on that part of it. I don't like that they're out on bail. I guess they're still out on bail, correct? Have we verified all of them but one, I think, was on bail last reported on Friday, which is just crazy to me how that can happen given how the brutalness of this. And are they going to be flight risk? Are they going to try to leave the country? I don't know. I imagine with all the outcry, these guys are definitely, might try something. But look, there's so many rumors that have been coming out. Dismisses rumor in Memphis man. What's the rumor here? This was, the relationship, right? There's this rumor going around that his wife or girlfriend was one of the police officers. It's not true, according to his stepfather. Speaking at a prayer moment, he wanted to dispel this idea of that rumor that's been spreading. My son was not messing around with one of the officers' wives. That's just a rumor. I've seen that one a lot. Police tried to cover it up. They are still trying to spread rumors about my son that are not true. To know that my son was calling out my wife's name and we were not able to hear him to help him, it was devastating. Let's not keep spreading this type of nonsense out there. If it comes out, we'll update you. I mean, it would offer some clarity as to why these people went so crazy, but that's just such a jump to conclusions. We have no proof that that's a thing. And we looked. Memphis cop Dimitri Halley, who was charged in death previously, also beat up an inmate. Ex-prisoner alleges. A lot of people coming forward on the sort of brutality and extremeness of these officers from other people who dealt with them. And then it should also be known, Rodney King's daughter has been commenting, as well as George Floyd's family is showing up to the funeral or the memorial. Correct, Kim?
Yes, they're showing their support. We've also seen comments from Eric Garner's daughter. There's a lot of support that's coming out for this family right now, which is really, really good to see. I mean, it obviously that we shouldn't be in this position. It shouldn't have to happen, but it is nice to see other families that can relate to what's going on being supportive and using their voices to help as well.
Yeah, it's just really heartbreaking. The footage is awful. Yeah, there's just so much coming in. He had Crohn's disease, so his mother's disputes, so it should have even taken 5 officers to subdue him. That's my biggest thing. I can't even understand why this happened, why it took so many people. There's that one moment with the first officers, the first traffic stop where they try to get him. He's clearly terrified. And then he resists and goes, which is not helpful. I understand, but still, given the thought he was going to die in that situation, he did. They try to tase him. They miss. They're all amped up even more so. And then at that point, he's run into his house. He was 3 houses away. I didn't realize that when we first reported this footage. He was 3 houses away, allegedly, from his mother. That's where he was trying to escape to, which just makes it all that much more heartbreaking with the footage. And then, the officers found him and just wanted to make a example, I guess, of don't mess with the Scorpion unit. We're going to always get you. It's just horrifying. It is horrifying. And I'm glad to see that they at least disbanded the Scorpion unit. I hope we get real accountability here. I don't know why these people are out on bail, like I said, but I expect all of these officers to have some sort of charge. I'm sorry. Anybody who sits by and watches this sort of stuff happen, especially now that we've had George Floyd and all these instances happen, you know what I mean? It's like, no more excuses. Like, we've had too much public discourse and examples of this to be better. And it really bothers me. Steph, any final thoughts from you on this before we pivot?
We'll just have to wait and see as to how this whole situation continues to unfold. I have hope that more people are going to be charged and more people are going to be held accountable for this situation. I have less hope that this will actually introduce any meaningful reform in regards to the police system in relation to how they are trained and how they deal with suspects. I think it's going to be, unfortunately, business as usual, because we've seen these kind of situations happen time and time again, each unique, but each absolutely horrific. And these stories still come about, so yeah, I hold no hope in regards to the reform of the police force, but a little bit of hope at least with more people getting charged and being held accountable through the courts and the system.
Amen. Kim, any final thoughts from you?
I'm happy to see people talking. I'm happy to see people upset, because we all should be. Again, I just encourage everybody critical thinking right now, because there's a lot of information and it is fluid. It keeps changing. I can say I've got a report here that came out 2 hours ago. I just added it to the doc, Andy, but it's basically saying the Memphis prosecutor is looking at more charges, which means we likely will see more updates to this and more things will happen. So some of this is we have to be patient. We want answers now. We want charges now. We want prison now. We want all of those things, but we have to go through the proper channels and we have to be patient, because these things have to be done right, or else these people can get away with it. So, unfortunately, it's patience at this point.
Hi. Well, what an amazing show that was. If you want to watch the full show, make sure you hit that join button today. We actually had some fun. It was such a tough topic, but we talked other news, including Alec Baldwin's charge and Diego showed up. So if you want to watch the full shows, become a member today. Go support. You can hit the button. You want to hit that button? Yeah. Oh, you love that button. I wonder why. Check out It's Kim and Steph, the alternate, as well. Go subscribe to them. And my man Lewis is up next. We'll be sending you over there if you're watching live, if you're watching on the replay. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you. We'll be live again tomorrow. You want to be a robot?
Be a robot. Orlando's a robot. Hello, I am a robot.
Hello, I'm a robot.
We're all robots. Please subscribe, hit that button, watch Kim and Steph and Lewis, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.